Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, may the peace of Allah be upon all of you. This is a video response to a video that was posted about 6 days ago by a YouTube channel by the name of Converted to Islam, by somebody by the name of Ismail, who also calls himself Abu Adam. And his video was titled, Why I Left Islam. And I watched the whole 9 minutes, and I have my own thoughts on some of the things that were mentioned in that video. The first thing I want to mention to Ismail himself, if he's listening to this video, and I hope that he gets the chance to listen to this video, he referenced the Quran quite a bit, and that's a good thing. And I would like to add another reference for him. There's a verse in the Quran in chapter 2, verse 256, and it goes as follows: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. The translation of the meaning of this verse, again, this is chapter 2, verse 256. There shall be no compulsion in acceptance of the religion. No compulsion. The right course, the truth, has become distinct from the wrong, from error. So whoever disbelieves in false deities and believes in Allah, the true God, has grasped the most trustworthy handhold with no break in it. And Allah is hearing and knowing. So, a few things in this verse. Number one, no compulsion in religion. You can believe whatever you want to believe. You want to be a Muslim, you don't want to be a Muslim, that's up to you. That's the first thing. But then the verse goes on to remind us that whoever disbelieves in false deities, whether it's idols, whether it's trees, whether it's the sun, whether it's someone's own ego. Do you hear that, atheists? If someone disbelieves in all these false deities and believes in Allah, the one true God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, has grasped the most trustworthy handhold with no break in it. With no break in it. And Allah is hearing and knowing. So it says that somebody who disbelieves in false deities and believes in Allah has grasped the most trustworthy handhold, very firm, with no break in it. So why did, as he calls himself, Brother Ismail, why did his grip break like that? Well, before I get into this, I don't want to turn this video into a theological exercise, but I'm going to be very brief and to the point about this. Yes, in a war context, Islam allows, the winners, the Muslims in the war, to take booty and take people as slaves and so on. That's true. We're not going to shy away from this fact, and we're not here to apologize to anyone about this. But one thing I should mention in order to be fair is that slavery was something unregulated and chaotic before Islam came to Arabia. There were many kinds of slavery, and there were many kinds of practices which were chaotic and completely out to lunch. Now, Islam limited slavery to basically prisoners of war, and yes, women can be taken as captives and so on, and Ismail described in his video that they can become not the wife but the slave of the man who takes this woman. Suffice to say that in Islam, slaves are treated not like prostitutes, because some people think, well, this is prostitution or rape or whatever. The reality is that any slave taken by a soldier is only his slave. She's not for anybody to come and do whatever they want, right? And there are rules that the man has to follow. But Islam has also encouraged the manumission of slaves, meaning freeing of slaves. In fact, some acts in Islam that require expiation, or in Arabic we call that kafara, expiation of a sin, for example, like killing someone accidentally. One of the things that you have to do, one of the things that are within that context is freeing of slaves. In fact, the slave is allowed to buy him or herself out of slavery as well. And this is highly encouraged in Islam. So this is not prostitution. This is not some random thing that you just go and do whatever you want to do. So this is not an issue here that we're going to debate about theological issues. But I want to just focus on the points that Ismail himself mentioned in this video. He has a problem with the moral standards and conduct of the Quran and Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He talks about how he was defending Islam for a long time. He was a Muslim for 16 years and he was defending Islam for a long time. And he talked about the sexual immorality and the capture and rape of female war captives, etc. Well, let me just break it down this way for you, and I'm just going to treat these points one by one, and I'll keep this as short as I can because I don't want to exceed the time that he took on YouTube explaining his own position. Number one, when you talk about morality and good morals and norms and so on, when a Muslim believes in Allah and God, and he wholeheartedly or she wholeheartedly believes that God is the source of the law, that his law is the one that holds, the first thing we should ask ourselves, especially since we're living in democratic systems and whatever the majority wants or the corporations who sponsor the political candidates want goes. In a democratic system, there is no sanctity to the law. There is no sanctity to morals. What was good yesterday is bad today. What was bad yesterday is good today. Today we read articles online, Ismail is talking about sexual promiscuity and so on. We're reading articles online, years ago, Germany, for example, about incest and how it's to be legalized, and it's basically looked upon as maybe a sexual orientation. Yesterday on Facebook, I was reading something about a woman who was apparently defending pedophilia and saying that it's actually a condition that you're born with, the same excuse that homosexuals make as well, that we were born this way. And you find that this pattern is just moving in that direction. As a creation of God, my creator, Allah, God, he has set down the laws for me to follow. If we're going to leave it up to human beings to decide what's good and bad, then who is the standard for what is good and bad? Like we said before, what was bad yesterday is good today, and what was good yesterday is bad today. Homosexuality in the 1960s and 70s was considered to be an infringement upon God, and it was considered to be a disease, and there was shock therapy for it, and all this other kind of stuff. Now it's another way of life, just like now bestiality, sex with animals, something that people are trying to look upon as just a normal thing. Hey, it's what the guy or what wants to do, let him do it. Incest, pedophilia, all those kinds of things are promoted. We are not in a position as human beings really to decide ultimately what's good and bad. We didn't create ourselves. Allah created us. And I'm talking to Ismail because according to him, he was a Muslim for 16 years. And Islam inherently, as I read in the verse in the beginning, is not about me measuring the morality of Islam or the morality of Christianity or the morality of Buddhism or what. All religions teach good morals. Okay, they all tell you to be good to the neighbor, to be good to your parents, to give charity. They all do the same thing. But Islam stands out in that you only worship Allah alone. You worship God alone and in pure monotheism, and give Allah what exclusively belongs to him, and no one has the right to share in that with God. So when we're doing good deeds, when we're doing good things, we are asking for a reward not from human beings and the creation of God. We're asking that from God himself. To measure morality and immorality, as one brother, actually, I was really impressed with this comment below the video that you, Ismail, have prepared about the Prophet Abraham. In the Islamic account, he was tested to slaughter his own son Ishmael, or Ishmael as the Bible says the name. Where's the morality in that? Slaughtering your own son? What kind of God would make you do something like that, right? Again, we're using our own measure of morality to measure what we think is right and wrong. And in the biblical account, of course, it was Isaac. I mean, regardless of who it was, Isaac or Ishmael, Abraham was told to sacrifice his own son for God. Where's the morality in that? Ismail, you want to go on with your videos? I can give you suggestions if you want to talk about other things as well. And I'm not giving suggestions because I'm really giving you suggestions. I'm just trying to show you a point here. I hope you understand it. You can talk about the death penalty if you want. How could Islam promote, the murderer getting murdered? Actually, it's executed, not murdered. What about the punishment for an adulterer who's previously been married, stoned to death? Oh, what an ugly punishment that is. Stoned to death for adultery? What about, amputating the hand as well? Oh, this is such an ugly, savage, backward religion. You have to understand that Muslims around the world who are adherents to Islam don't think they don't know these things. They know these things. They know Islamic law, and they understand that Islam is a comprehensive way of life, and that these kinds of things are deterrents to the evil which will affect society. I mean, the death penalty itself, I do plan on doing a video on that at some point, because I've done some research on this lately. My advice to Ismail and anyone else who is treading that path is to really think hard and long about your decision that you're making, and don't allow your own mind and your own human intellect to really measure what's moral and what's immoral. Because some people today believe even marriage is immoral. Yes, you better believe it. They look at it as a contract, again, to rape as well. Marriage between a man and a woman, some of them look at it this way. For the longest time in history, a man marrying more than one woman was completely acceptable and fine, and now it's frowned upon. So a man today can have many mistresses and one wife, but if he has more than one wife, he's looked upon as someone backward, as someone who's savage, or whatever the case might be. You can do those videos, Ismail, if you want. You want to continue that path you're continuing on. Rest assured that Islam is in no need of defense, because you've emphasized this so much in your video, that defending Islam, defending Muhammad, the truth doesn't need to be defended. We need the truth, right? The truth does not need us. The truth does not need us. We need the truth. We need to be guided. I hope I've given some things to think about. I'm not here to change your mind or to tell you what you should be doing. But my duty as a Muslim, obviously, is to, in this civilized way, tell you that what you're doing is something that's very dangerous, that you're going in the wrong direction. I'm not talking about this life, because we believe in the hereafter, as you believed at one point, and I think you still do, that there's going to be accountability, and that there will be, in fact, a day when you'll have to answer to God. So when I go in the day of resurrection, the day of standing before God, and I tell him, Allah, the reason why I left Islam is because of what you had to say about slavery in the Quran. Didn't God tell you and I to believe in him alone and worship him alone and surrender to his will alone? What part of surrender don't we understand? Surrendering means that you take it all as one basket, not according to what I feel is right or what you feel is right. That's what Islam is. It's surrender. And people are becoming Muslims in multifolds every day. They're coming into Islam all over the world. Islam is no need of defense. Islam is the truth, and the truth can never be changed around. Truth will always be truth, and then falsehoods and lies will always be falsehoods and lies.
لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم.